Also, have you heard this song called King of the Road? Um, the singer is Roger Miller, and my uncle um, went out to California to make it big with Roger Miller and didn't make it big, and he died a drunkard. He had a family, he had children, but he was never able to kick the alcohol binge, and it was ultimately what killed him. He died at the mouth, blood bleeding from the mouth as a result of drinking alcohol. And but Roger Miller has this song called "King of the Road," and what it's really about is it's about being a hobo. And during World War II, um, during I think it was not World War II, during the Depression, people had lost their work, and the trains had these box cars, and you could get in the box car and go to another place, and it was the cheapest way to travel. It cost nothing, and so there were a lot of like homeless guys. People thought were homeless, and what they really were their guys looking for a job elsewhere. And so they would take the boxcars and they would go to each town until they found some place where they could get steady work. And then once they got steady work and were able to do it for a while, they could call back home, get their family, and move out, get them to move out there where they found work. And that was because during the Depression, it was hard to find labor. And those guys were called hobos, and people thought the hobos were homeless. No, they were just looking for work. And we're probably going to experience something like that in the coming years as a result of the fallout of COVID and all the other things that have happened in the recent couple of decades. And the thing that people don't realize is that homeless are not necessarily um, people that do drugs and just never get out of being homeless. What they are, they're people that have fallen down on their luck and have lost their jobs where they're at, and then for some reason they're not able to get work again. And usually that's because they've lost a they've lost and they become homeless, and as a result of that they've lost their security. They can't keep anything. They'll bring together all the things they need in order to live a life. And the policemen usually they live in tents. And the policemen will come along, take the tents up and everything that they've got, throw them in a bag, and then send them downtown. And they do that, and the police do this like every week or 2 weeks, or a month or whatever, to clear out all these tent communities because nobody wants to see that stuff on their on public land or whatever. They should just let it happen. I think eventually the police are gonna have a they're probably just going to get tired of getting rid of all of the tents, and they're just going to leave them, which is what they should do. Because what these people are trying to do is they're trying to gain a secure environment so that they can get work, and then once they get work, they'll find places that they can rent, and then they'll move in. Okay, but because the policemen go out and take out these tent communities, they think that somehow they're fixing things, and they're not. And that's the reason why there's so much backlash that people just need to realize there are states of living, and people start from being homeless and they work their way up. They even classify people that's living in, say, their parents' home as being homeless. So I'm essentially homeless because I don't own the home. I'm living in my parents' home. So if I got to be in an apartment and I was the owner, or I was the resident there, they would consider that I wasn't homeless. But I would even consider people that are in apartments and renting as pretty much homeless because they can't because if they don't have enough money to keep the apartment, they're out of an apartment. They have to find another apartment. And so how much different is that than homeless living in going hotel to hotel. And so the thing is that people may have to band together and collect their money and buy into a house and then share the house, or get into such kinds of, and what better than to spend it with people that you consider family. But no matter what they considered homeless to be, um, it's really just a government classification. It's a people, the culture's classification of what homeless people are, and people's perceptions of what homeless are completely flawed, just as they stereotype black people and all this stuff. It's because people have become so complacent that they don't understand that they're not really in the know. They have their flawed perceptions come from television. They're watching way too much television. They're not really looking in at. I think the thing with the internet that's great is that people can actually go and see what it's like to be homeless. There's a place called Invisible People. It's run by this guy named Mark Horvath, and he gives a lot of examples of homeless people, and they're just regular people. They're just people that lost their support system and aren't able to gain a secure environment. And people always classify them as being like doing drugs, and a lot of people are just don't understand or don't want to understand. They don't want to even know anything about these people until they become homeless, and then they learn their lesson that they've been ignoring this group of people that are just like them. Okay, so